Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mishmash Soup. My name is Melissa, and today we have the classy queer with us.
Hello, everyone. Good to be back.
Yay! So, it's gonna be that time to just get into that soup and see what is cooking up in the kitchen today. So, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, let's get that pot going.
I just called you sir.
So, anyway, it's good to have you. How have you been doing?
I've been doing good. So I know I have been absent on some previous podcasts, but I have some things going on in my personal life that have needed my attention. New job, new opportunities. I'm going through training for that new job.
New puppy. I have a grandchild.
I have a new puppy, so we have, now Teddy, my 16-year-old Shih Tzu, has a new fellow to play with. He's my new puppy's also a Shih Tzu, but he's 7 weeks old.
He's the tiniest little thing. And
he's
you know
so
what?
Adorable.
Teddy's not too happy because Bear. That's the name, Bear.
Oh yeah, Teddy and Bear.
Yeah, and Bear. He's so cute. He literally fits. Well, when you
in
first
the palm of your hand.
And the palm of my hand. And when you brought him over that first time, oh my God, I was like, my heart.
Yes, he steals people's hearts.
He's so cute, but Teddy is not all about that life.
Yeah, my older dog, he's in a different stage of his life, and so he's all about retirement, relaxing on the veranda.
He's a crotchety old man.
He's a curmudgeon for sure. He's the typical get off my lawn type of man.
Yeah, or I'm gonna get the shotgun out.
So Bear, he takes to him, even though he's curmudgeon-y. Bear loves Teddy. He will go up to him and try and interact and play with him. And the little one just does not have it. He's actually with us in the studio right now.
Yeah, he's walking around.
So, but he's a handful. He's basically a child. He requires like 24-hour attention. So that's what's been going on right now.
He's walking around like, why can't I get into this room over here? We closed off the bathroom.
You know what? Mom, I'm going to step aside just for 1 second just to kind of bring up. No, you don't have to pause anything.
He just went to go get him. But he's walking around and he's, oh my goodness.
He's using the restroom.
Oh, no.
So, I'm sorry about that, Mom.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So I had to go pick him up because he was whimpering a little bit just now, and so we just kind of had to clean up some mess he made.
He christened my home.
Yes, he certainly did. But I was saying that basically he's a child, so he requires 24-hour care. He needs to be observed, make sure he's not eating anything he shouldn't be. But it's definitely been great having him in the home to kind of spice things up.
Oh my goodness! Like I said, Teddy's just like
Teddy's sparkle is sort of fading because he's an older dog, so he's not as active.
He's probably looking at him going, "That's my replacement. I know it. What are you doing in the backyard? Planning my burial plot?"
Oh my God! Plus, also, truthfully, I did want another dog at least this point in Teddy's life, because otherwise, if Teddy passed away, knock on wood, if Teddy passed away, I would feel weird getting another dog at that point, because then it would feel like a replacement. This way, we both have, I have Teddy still alive. Now we have another dog in our life. It kind of easily transitioned into that whole, at least now we have this other dog to take care of.
Exactly.
It doesn't feel like a replacement.
He is quite adorable, and he was whimpering right now, and I looked over, and because he was looking for a hard surface, so at least he knew that this is carpet, this is not hard. So,
so just letting the audience know out there, you may hear a little whimper here and there, but he's fine. Yeah, he's just roaming around.
He's just roaming around. Actually, a while ago, I thought, how those cat toys have crinkle bally air, at the end, and I heard something crinkling, and I saw he was playing, and then literally next to him was one of the cat's toys that is on a big pole, on a stick, and some of the cat's stick toys have crinkle balls at the end. So I go, oh look, he's playing, and you hear the crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. And
I thought so too.
And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, it was chocolate.
So I'm like, oh my god. So I think my mom had some chocolate on the desk and it fell down. Like one of us must have brushed it and it fell down. And he didn't eat the whole. I think what size is it? It's a Hershey
It's
bar.
one of them those little the personal pieces, the ones that you get when you give out to trick or treaters.
Yeah, like a little personal piece, but he just got like a little bit of that. So I'm hoping that he is fine. I'm gonna keep an eye on him. Monitor his
Make sure he's okay.
his behavior, make sure he's fine, and if anything happens, I can just take him into the vet.
The vet, yeah. Get Progressive for your dog insurance.
Yes, I'm gonna look into some progressive pet insurance because definitely I need to have him covered.
Exactly.
Especially since he's young and doesn't have any pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, you want to make sure.
Yeah.
But other than that, we were. I was telling. Whoa, that's the first thing you. I was telling him over here that I wanted to talk about hidden meanings or the real stories behind something that we all know.
Nursery rhymes?
Nursery rhymes,
Or not just nursery rhymes, but like Grimm's tales.
Well, yeah, Grimm's tales too.
Fairy tales.
Fairy tales, and and stuff like that. And I know that a lot of people. I know myself for one. I grew up, singing a bunch of these, and then I would sing them to you too. And I think later on, I'm like, what?
You find out the true meaning behind it.
What? Are you serious? That's what it means.
You're like, oh my gosh.
So
my whole life's been a lie.
Yeah, exactly. But one of them. Remember when y'all were young? I would always sing to you the Alouette song.
How does it go then?
Alouette, jonte alouette, alouette, jonte plumaré. Jonte plumaré la bec, jonte plumaré la bec. Yep.
Yeah, that one, I do remember it.
Well, it's a French song, of course, and an alouette is a type of bird. And it's like a little, I don't know what kind of song, it's just a songbird, I believe. But alouette, that song is actually a torture song.
What?
It's a bunch of kids that had found this little bird. I must have fallen on it,
out of the
nest or something, but they pick up this bird and they're all in a circle around it saying, basically, it's the literal translation. Oh, look, a little gentil alouette, a little tiny bird. Jonte plumaré la bec. The beak. Let's rip the beak off. I'll rip the beak off. Yeah, the beak. Hey, the beak. Hey, the beak. Yeah, so they're ripping the beak.
Gosh.
And then they go to Jonte plumaré la queue. That's at the very end. That's where they rip out the heart. But le tête is the head. Le bec is the back. Les yeux is the eyes. And then the pièce de résistance is le cœur, the heart. So the children are basically
mutilating this poor animal.
They're mutilating this bird. And they're doing it ever so.
It's like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And it's these things that you sing all your life and you just never really think about it, and then like you go on the internet one day and you're like, what have I been singing this whole time? That's so dark.
Oh my god.
I wonder what now hearing the meaning behind it and the translation, it makes me wonder like what brought about that nursery rhyme. What happened in that during that economy that made that nursery rhyme a thing? Because like for example, Ring Around the Rosie, Pocket Full of Posy.
We all know about that.
It's the Black Death.
The Black Death, yeah.
So we have like an understanding that song came about because of the Black Death. So now I'm like wondering, what's the name of that song?
It's called Alouette.
Alouette. Like what event in history brought that song about?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out what event came about. But I do know that.
So Ring Around the Rosie. What's a Rosie?
Well, Ring Around the Roses because.
Ring Around the Roses. There you go.
Yeah, Ring Around the Rosie because it was a red rash that appeared on your face. So a Ring Around the Rosie. It was.
Oh, like your rosy cheeks.
Like rosacea.
Oh,
one of the signs of the Black Plague was you would get this rash on your face.
And if there was a ring around it.
And that you were basically infected, and a pocket full of posies was to mask the stench that the body gave.
Ashes,
and then
we all fall
Ashes, ashes, because there was so many. They literally had pyres of bodies because they could not. They were overrun with all these dead bodies.
Funeral homes were overrun.
Yep.
Cemeteries
So
were
they
over.
literally had. I know that in Europe, and it was specifically London. There was a period in time where you could literally see bonfires, and they were bonfires full of
Dead
bodies. And they were, ashes, ashes, they all fall down because they would compact, all
Yeah.
those bodies would turn to ash. They would take the bones, and if they, of course, they would, grind them. But they,
If you had no, so that's very grim. If you had no context to that song, if you listen to the lyrics, ring around the roses, pocket full of posies, ashes, it's like, what am I even singing? Like, what is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you have to give it context.
Exactly.
That's
And
crazy.
I do know also, but that was basically the result of the black. There it is, because of the Black Death, and that was in 1881 when you sang "Ring," "Ring Around the Rosies." It was a song that the children, now popular. It's very popular amongst the kids.
Yeah.
But
And it came about in 1881.
yeah, and it was a theme of death, and lots of death. It says, and,
Which actually, speaking of the Black Plague and stuff, that's kind of like apropos for still today.
yeah.
When we still have the pandemic, so oh my gosh, we have our own little pandemic we're dealing with now.
But there it is. Like, see, we all fall down. So the line "we all fall down" refers to the fact that the plague led to the death of a very significant percentage of the world's population. That it literally wiped 30 to 60% of the entire population
That's crazy.
of Europe. And of course, ashes, ashes. To reduce the rapid spread of infection, people were forced to burn or cremate the corpses of those who died with the disease. And we all know that it started with, now with how, scientifically we're all advanced. We know that it was the rats that transmitted, because the fleas on the rats, it basically came from the fleas that were on the rats. And that's why now you have a lot of cats in London or in Europe, because the cats came and they eradicated the disease spreading
Yeah.
rats. But,
I'm actually looking over here at London Bridge is falling down.
oh yeah.
That one's another nursery rhyme that we all know.
Yes. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Yep.
And here's the part that we don't always know. Set a man to watch all night, watch all night, watch all night. Set a man to watch all night, my fair lady.
Okay.
Suppose the man should fall asleep, fall asleep, fall asleep. Suppose the man should fall asleep, my fair lady. So it says that there are several theories behind the origin of this rhyme, but the one that really stands out is the one about human sacrifice. It was believed that a bridge would collapse unless a human sacrifice was buried at the foundation. So the practice was called immurement, which is the practice, and I may not be pronouncing that correctly.
No, I think it is right. Immurement,
which is
yes.
the practice of entombing somebody within a structure where they slowly die from lack of food and water. So if you think about it, a game was played while singing the song where two kids from an arch, the others run underneath till the end of the song. Whoever was left at the end was trapped by the hands of the two kids forming the arch. So it stems from an old practice where somebody literally was sacrificed.
I remember, because when we would play it, we would go under, two people would hold their hand, and then, and when the song ended, if you were caught, the people's hands would come down and you were trapped.
And it comes from superstition of structural buildings, so that was the practice that was done to keep the structure up. We need to have a human sacrifice.
Oh my God, them European people
I
are
know.
hardcore. I have any listeners in Europe right now, man?
Tell us more.
I know. Give us the tea, the British tea.
We need some piping hot British tea.
Oh my God! So, anything else that you've read or no?
There's another one, Mary, Mary, quite contrary.
Oh, I know that one. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
So let me just say, I don't know.
That's Queen Mary.
So it says, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? with silver barrels and cockle shells,
which were torture devices.
and pretty maids all in a row.
I do know that there was a reference that those were the silver bells and cockle shells were torture devices, I believe. But did you see? Does it say on there any? Because
It says the Mary referred to in this rhyme is Mary the First, daughter of Henry
the eighth. Is it Henry?
Seventh.
The
Oh no, the eighth.
Henry the Eighth.
And his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. That sounds like a fucking like Lord of the Rings, Aragon.
She was a pill, from what I understand.
Henry VIII wanted to marry Anne Boleyn and petitioned the Catholic Church for a divorce time and time again, which was refused. So he isolated himself from the Catholic Church and created the Anglican Church.
The Anglican Church.
As
they created because of Catholic law, they couldn't divorce.
Yeah. And actually, I think he's referred to as the person who even created what we know as divorce now.
Yeah, exactly.
As a result of this, England was at the time of Mary's reign divided between Catholics and Protestants. When Mary came to the throne, she wanted to convert England to Catholicism again, going contrary to England's wishes, since most of England was happily Protestant. Her short reign was from 1553 to 1558, was marked thus by the execution of thousands of Protestants. The silver bells and cockle shells are torture devices, so you were right.
Torture instruments she used to torture many people that she murdered.
Yeah, from her time, and the pretty maids all in a row are referred to the thousands of women burnt at the stake for the crime of being Protestant.
Well, I've also heard that the line "pretty maids all in a row" are believed also to refer to possibly the number of miscarriages that she did suffer during her lifetime before her beheading of her and her own half-sister, Lady Jane Grey. We all know about Jane Grey, who reigned as in de facto of the Queen of England. But because there was another story I heard. Now this was, not, and I can't find it, but another interpretation of this was there was that it was Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
And that he was the pretty maids all in a row is the ladies of the night that he was murdering in quite horrifically and almost torturously, and it has kind of a sacrificial
sort of element to it.
Element to it. So that was another interpretation with there. But then he, from what I understand, I think something about the timing, that it could have possibly, it was speculated, but it wasn't, for sure. But that was one that I had heard about that one.
I don't mean to kind of deviate. So I think we're in the clear, Mom, in terms of my...
Yep, we're fine. Okay, no. Okay, but Old Mother Hubbard. You've heard of that one? Old Mother Hubbard lived in the cupboard.
She lived in the cupboard? Is this Harry Potter?
No. Old Mother Hubbard lived in the cupboard. And about she gave her old dog a bone.
Oh,
and
yes. I have heard this one.
Yeah. It's a 19th century nursery rhyme. And it was just a mother and a dog. They basically lived alone. She was like a spinster or something. But there was a bunch of theories regarding the meaning of that particular lyric, and they were saying that Mother Hubbard was neither a mother or a woman. A lot of theories speculated that the lyrics were about the Cardinal Wolsey, whose refusal to grant Henry VIII the divorce that he sought from Catherine of Aragon. And
so we have another nursery rhyme
that
ties into the Henry VIII, this womanizer.
You heard of the song of Henry VIII, right? Oh, Henry VIII, I am, Henry VIII, I am.
Stick a bone, wish it back. I don't know. I'm just adding lyrics. No, I haven't heard that
same
one.
Same as the first. Oh, I'm Henry VIII, I am.
You lived in the UK for a while. You went to boarding school, so you know more about this than I do.
But another
Let's look at Three Blind Mice.
Well, Three Blind Mice is also about, from what I understand.
Well, first I want to sing it.
Okay,
so
go
it's
ahead.
like three blind mice, see how they run, see how they run. They all ran
to the farmer's
wife, who cut off their
tail
tails with a carving knife.
Did you ever see such a sight in your life as three blind mice?
This is another rhyme dedicated to Mary the First. Oh my God, these are all Mary the First.
Shout out to Queen Mary.
Hey girl, you got the tea.
She is the epitome of boss bitch.
Yes. Also known as Bloody Mary, which we also know about the Bloody Mary thing that you do in the mirror. Mm-hmm. The three mice are believed to be a trio of Protestant bishops, Hugh Latimer, Nicholas Radley, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Cranmer.
As they say in the UK, Canterbury.
Canterbury, yes.
Canterbury.
I love listening to David Attenborough pronounce Canterbury. Yeah, I can listen to him all day. Who conspired to overthrow Mary. They were obviously unsuccessful and were found out and then burned at the stake for treason and heresy. So the three blind mice are the archbishops.
Fail. It was a big
fail. Sorry, not the Protestant bishops. It was mistakenly believed that she also blinded and dismembered them, as the rhyme goes, as if being burned to life wasn't enough.
Oh, yeah, no. That ain't enough. Let's make sure that they're doubly dead.
Right?
So anyway, that's this. I'm telling you, she was no joke, that woman. Mm-hmm. That woman was something to, and of course, something to behold.
You know what? I do want to know more about Jack and Jill. That's another one that I know growing up.
How does Jack and Jill go? Do you remember?
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Mm-hmm. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
Yeah, so it's basically a lyric about two characters named Jack and Jill who climb up a hill. Mm-hmm. Duh. And of course, Jill meets the same fate as Jack as he tumbles down. Now, the crown is, of course, supposedly the crown of your head. Mm-hmm. So, the most common interpretation of Jack and Jill is believed to represent
France.
King Louis. Another one right here. King Louis the 16th. He was quite a big man.
And his wife, Marie Antoinette.
We all know Marie Antoinette. Oh. She was the Queen of France. And, of course, the Queen of France who was beheaded.
Yeah, during the French Revolution.
By her loving husband in 1793. So, Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Marie Antoinette was beheaded some months later.
Oh, right after that.
Because they were both, they both met the same fate.
Yeah.
But it was kind of supposed to be a story of them two
going up the hill. That's like their reign.
Their reign, yes, of terror. Because with her, didn't the old expression of let them eat
cake. So it's
because
actually
they were overtaxing. They were overtaxing.
Yeah. So actually, so the let them eat cake thing from Marie Antoinette, she actually didn't say that. That came from a political cartoon, I want to say.
Oh, really?
So she was characterized as this person that said let them eat cake, though she didn't actually say it. Mm-hmm. But it is like been kind of cemented in history as like that's how she was towards the people of France. Like, oh, just let them eat cake. Like, if they're hungry, just get some cake. So that's kind of like where that stems from.
Because they were criticized for imposing these enormous taxes on the poor. Of course, the poor always get the short end of the stick.
Which also, and none of you have seen the movie Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette starring Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, I've heard of
I
that.
love that film.
Was it really good?
It's a really good film. It's actually like it's part of pop culture. Mm-hmm. So the film is Marie Antoinette's life. It's from her perspective, and it basically takes her through her her upbringing in the countryside. She was like a very affluent person, but she was married.
She was rich.
But then she was married off to kind of help strengthen the bonds between France and I forgot the other country.
England.
No, it was France and something else.
I thought it was England.
It could be. I could be mistaken. But it was basically her marriage was to strengthen the bonds between two nations.
It was a political move.
Yeah. And so the movie goes in through her time at Versailles, where she is like kind of trying to make a name for herself, her trouble with rearing a son for the king, a lot of gossip that happened in between then, and it ends with the ultimate,
The beheading.
The beheading. Well, it doesn't show her the beheading, but it's kind of implied, like, oh, this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It did happen.
Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette, wonderful movie, definitely recommend it.
And you know that the Coppolas...
They're well known in Hollywood.
Well, you know who their You know who the nephew is, right?
No, who's that?
Nick Cage.
Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
What?
That's the aunt and uncle.
What?
Francis Ford Coppola.
Are you talking about Nicolas Cage, the guy who's
Yeah.
like in terrible movies?
Look it up. Yep, that's his family.
Oh wow, I never even knew that.
Oh yeah. They're that's his family. That's his family.
By marriage?
No, blood.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Oh,
So there you go, guys. Nicolas Cage is a Coppola.
He's a Coppola. He's a Coppola. He's a couple of sticks short of a full barrel.
And nothing against Nicolas Cage. I just personally don't like a lot of the movies he's in. They're very like weird.
Your brother hates him too.
Yeah.
He cannot watch any of this. I will say this.
National Treasure was good.
I liked National Treasure.
That was a good one. It was a good. That's the only one. But then I also think of like Con Air. That was a ridiculous movie.
Oh my god!
And then what was the other one that he was in? Skeleton Rider, or where basically he's a superhero or like an anti-hero, and he has like a head of a skull and it's on flames, and he rides a motorcycle. He was in that movie. I think it's called Skeleton Rider or Hot Rider or something.
I never heard of this movie.
Yeah, you saw it with us, girl. That's the amnesia kicking in.
Amnesia.
Or that just
Alzheimer's.
Forget it.
Damn it.
What's another nursery rhyme though?
The Baba Black Sheep. You remember that one?
Baba black sheep,
Have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. One for my master, one for my dame,
and one for the little boy who lives down the lane. Yeah, so I do know that one.
Well, that one was written as a special protest against the medieval English wool trade.
What?
The wool trade was so big in England that King Edward I of England levied a very heavy tax on it. So under decree, a third of that money made from just a sack of wool went to King Ed. So with the remaining 2/3 going to, of course, the farmer and the church, thereby leaving very little money for the little shepherd boy. You know,
like the normal people.
And so
This is kind of like Then they also had the whole taxing thing of tea.
that was which is
The Boston Tea Party. Wait, that's American history.
that was part of our history. That was when our rogues came. Well, the rogues came from from England, and they were being rebels. And so America said, okay. I mean, so the British said, the Crown said, okay, go ahead. King George said, go ahead, go do your thing. And then they were like, but you're going to pay the piper.
The money. Yeah.
And of course, being British, they like their tea. And so they go, we're going to tax you on that tea. So they were like, you know what? F you. And so they dumped all that tea as a big FU to the crown in the harbor.
So there you go. It's all about taxes, guys. That's why you got to pay your taxes.
We're the redheaded stepchild of Great Britain. And
they don't like to talk about us.
They never got over that fact. And it's like we left and we became just, we outshone the sun. So
that's actually perfectly put. We are the redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Are there any other ones? There's a what's that Mulberry Bush? I'm trying to figure out how the thing goes.
How the song goes?
Right here.
Here we go on Mulberry. Here we go.
The mulberry bush. Here we go around the mulberry bush so early in the morning. We all sung this as kids in school, not really knowing who was going around the mulberry bush. Historian R.S. Duncan, who was also the warden of England's Wakefield prison, wrote that this song's origin lies in the practice of female inmates singing this, who were exercised around a mulberry tree.
Who were exercised?
Exercised. Yeah.
Well, so they were doing some donkey kicks around the mulberry bush.
Yeah.
They were doing some Jane Fonda workout.
And then look at this picture. There's a picture that goes along with it from back then.
Or were they exorcised like
so
the demons?
I think it was exercise as in like exercise like demons.
Oh.
Yeah. Because this is, this is way back then in England's time when they had whole like witches and things that that was very prevalent back then. But yeah, it says the song's origin lies in practice of female inmates singing this who were exercised around a mulberry tree.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm about to do some exercises today at Planet Fitness.
Really? Well, so.
Oh, there's Humpty Dumpty.
Well, Humpty Dumpty. We all know Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
I know it a different way.
Oh, how did you know?
Well, you just added a few extra words is all. But
okay.
Near the end.
Oh, wow.
But it's from 1797.
Yeah,
song.
And it's of course theorizing that this is about Richard III, who was Richard III of England. All these are about a bunch of man. If this doesn't say anything about the rich, all these royal people, man, they had some serious skeletons in the closet.
And this is why we gotta eat the rich.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. Well, it said that
I can go for some eggs right now. Just saying.
Well, I have some manure left over in my fridge. But it was speculated that the lyric was common, portrayed Richard as someone who was, he had a humpback. And who fell off the white courser he was riding on, which is the wall, during the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485, where he was brutally killed. Despite the fact that Richard III actually got killed in the Battle of Bosworth Field, there's no concrete evidence of how it actually happened. But he was known to be a big buff, a big burly man. So it kind of stopped. It's saying that the song literally kind of stopped short of saying that it was about him, but it was heavily speculated because of the way he looked. He looked like a big
old egg,
big old dumped. And in England, when someone is a dumpty or a numpty,
they're like basically homely.
Yeah, homely. They're big and they're stupid.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, a bunch of these.
But do you think it can allude to the fact that, because we see Humpty Dumpty as an egg, clearly like it's describing the way he kind of looks, but do you think it also kind of goes into like maybe like he's as fragile as an egg too, like maybe his ego?
That could be it.
Yeah.
You gotta keep hitting the damn thing. Yeah. My ego is fragile right now.
Yeah, it's just like an egg, so eggshell.
No, but yeah. So I mean, when you start to think about it, these royal people have nothing. I can imagine when the queen dies, what songs are going to come out about her. Because, she's pushing. I mean, I can't believe she's outlived her. No, I can't believe that she outlived Prince Philip.
I mean, what's that?
Prince Philip.
She's mature.
Prince Philip was 97, and she's 94. And so I'm thinking, oh, here's another little question for you. What's the Queen and Charles and Philip? What's their last name? Does anybody know what their last name is? Because everybody thinks of
Prince Charles, Prince William. Like, but we don't really hear that. We don't really say their last name.
Yeah, but do you know what
I'm gonna guess it's
Queen Elizabeth's last name. You know what Elizabeth's last name?
I think it's Rodriguez.
Wah, wah, wah.
Clearly it's wrong.
It's obviously not
throwing a little spice into their life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. She won't even eat garlic. It's
she
garlic. Garlic
she's
is
a vampire.
forbidden.
She's a vampire. That's why she's lived so long.
Well, I was watching some of these shows about there's all these rules. She does not want anything with a strong odor in her cooking.
That's like all of England, though. All their food is bland.
It's really.
I
have to tell. I'm sorry to break it to you guys. Anybody from England?
They eat their bran flakes for breakfast.
Well, remember the Weetabix when we lived over there?
Yes. Oh my God.
It's like y'all were like. Ooh.
We lived over there, so So we're not trashing their food. Everybody has their own cultural diet. It's just not our taste. But we did live over there, and a lot of the food is what I would consider kind of bland. Like, it's not very spiced up. It's not
very vanilla. Even the bacon. I remember y'all were like, what the hell is this?
Is this plastic?
It was like, oh my gosh. Is this bacon? And they go, oh, y'all want streaky bacon. They call American bacon streaky bacon because it was like a big floppy piece of meat.
With some fat in there. You know there's some fat in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it taste good. That's what gets the blood going during the day.
But no, Queen Elizabeth's last name, the whole family, is Windsor.
Oh. Clearly you asked me the question. I never would have guessed Windsor.
Mm-hmm. That's her last name, Windsor. Of course, it's Windsor Mountbatten because Prince Philip was a Mountbatten. But to law, royal law, whatever, royal decree, he had to change his name to Windsor.
Oh.
Because it's
like the title almost?
Well, even though he came from royal lineage, they were like the black sheep,
Oh, yeah.
They had some issues in that House of Mountbatten. So.
Which also, I was watching this YouTube documentary that talked about like the royals and stuff. There's a lot of inbreeding.
Oh yeah, that family tree goes straight up. Hell
There's
yeah.
no branching there.
No,
that's a palm tree.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
That ain't no oak or maple.
No, that's a fucking sequoia. It goes straight up. I mean, no, because you have to think about it, they couldn't really.
There was the superstition of like wanting to keep the blood pure within the family, and so like. So obviously, like within that mindset, so back then you would have something like that happen, and there really wasn't a taboo around it because they were royals.
And where the term blue blood comes from, it was actually because of a condition from so much heavily inbreeding that
you could literally see the blood through the skin.
Yeah, and technically, we all have blue blood because what makes the blood red is oxygen. So technically, we all have blue blood. But at least in my family tree, the branches extend out.
Yeah, we're a forest over here.
Yeah. And, oh my gosh. And this is something that I saw, and it was like, ooh.
Look at Teddy. Look at Bear. He's literally underneath you. Oh.
He's so sweet.
He's so cute.
Me. But I was looking, and I was pulling up our DNA results.
Oh yeah, I did that one too.
And that one, yeah, we do. We both have our DNA results.
I'm gonna see if I still have.
I have mine right here, and I actually have a photo of yours and mine together.
Oh yes, that's good.
Well, and I also can compare it right here to you and me. But I was like, ooh. Yeah, because let me tell you, I come from Hispanic lineage.
We took the
one of the oldest, which
what was it called again?
It was Ancestry.
Ancestry, there you go.
Ancestry DNA.
I want to do the 23andMe at some point.
And the 23andMe. Okay, the reason why they say to do Ancestry.com is because Ancestry is owned by the Mormon Church, and it is known that they have the largest and most extensive library of
lineage
of heritage.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's one of the older.
They're really great. They're known for being like really great bookkeepers and historians about their own, like you said, their family tree. And they're really big about that. So you're right. The fact that they have Ancestry.com, it's kind of like reputable in that sense.
Yes, exactly. So I was looking at our lineage because people think, oh, Hispanic, and
you're not gonna find anything.
You're not gonna find,
You're gonna find some pet bull down the road.
But I saw, and I was like, oh, yes, no.
It's good to know where you come from, though.
It is. So it says here that I come from 46% of it is indigenous Americas, which is, we're some indigenous people. We're talking about the tribes, the Aztecs.
Yeah.
Spain is 35%.
Oh.
Portugal is 4%. Basque is 3%. France is 3%. Senegal is 2%. Cameroon, Congo, Western Bantu people is 2%. Northern Africa is 1%. So yeah.
I think a lot of brown people and well, obviously black people are going to have African, but I think a lot of brown people in this world are going to have that African blood in them to an extent because we all came from Africa essentially.
And there's your ethnicity right there. So this is yours. So you can look at how it says.
God.
Look at how our matches are. Look at you have a higher percentage of Spain, right?
I have a higher percentage of Spain. I'm 35%. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is me right here.
Yeah, that's you.
FC. I have 42% Indigenous Americas, which is in Mexico.
Where I have how much?
You have 46, I have 42.
Yes.
You have 35% of Spain, I have 31%.
Of Spain?
Yeah. Right here. See, it says U, and this is FC for Franklin.
Oh, so you have... I thought you had more Spanish
from me. Well, what I have more of is, for Portugal, you have 4. For Portugal, I have 6. Mm-hmm. For France, you have 3, and I have 4%.
Ooh, you've got some French blood in you.
What else do I have more of than you do? I have 2% European Jewish, 2% Northern Africa, whereas you have 1 on both of those.
He Jew.
And I have 2% Scotland and 2% Indigenous America Central. But basically what it comes down to is we're primarily Indigenous Mexico and Spain.
Yeah, but you got some European blood. Mm-hmm. And you know what? My children, especially...
That's why I love haggis. Ooh.
Especially Lee. Okay, Lee more than you. I always would joke that he was Jewish because of that nose.
Oh my God! Not even like this was.
I'm sorry.
This was.
I love all I love all people, but there's some traits that one particular culture has more than others, and I will have to say that Hispanics, Mexicans tend to be short.
Mm-hmm, that is true.
And you know that's part of it. Our culture, Jewish people tend to have a schnoz, you know, and that's their thing.
It's just different traits where it's like another distinction.
And you're Jewish, so you can say
you could even say that ethnically or racially that there are different traits that some races have that are more prominent than others. Mm-hmm. I have seen a lot of shorter Mexicans here, especially here in San Antonio.
Oh gosh, yeah, and you tower over them like
well, that's because that's the Spanish blood in me.
Yeah, because you are Spanish and you got some European.
But yeah, there are just certain traits, and it's funny that you mentioned that Lee did have a big nose.
Because I would always
he has Jewish blood in him.
He has Jewish blood in him, and it's European Jewish blood. So he's straight up there, you know. So it's like, hey, you know, I always tell him you can use that now and say you need the week, you know, Rosh Hashanah off because you're celebrating your Jewish heritage. And you
That's I want to clear the air. I feel really bad that we said that, but
we love y'all. We're part of your group. Well, I am not because I don't. No, I have 1% European Jewish blood in me, and when you break it down,
at that point, so it just kind of shows where you may have very few trace families that were Jewish or that like from way back then, but primarily where people are going to see a majority of their characteristics, their traits are going to be from like the first 2, maybe 3 listings on their ancestry or the 23andMe. So like I said, for that 30%, that 40%, those are like the main ones.
But you know, I would think that you would have a higher percentage of Spaniard blood because you are. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're tall. He towers over 6 feet tall.
I'm 6'1". Lee is 6'2". I want to say Lee's 6'2". So yeah, we're tall. We're tall fellas.
And your father was 6 feet even. Yeah. So y'all were taller than your dad.
But even for a woman, you're tall.
Yeah.
Because I think the national average for women is like 5'6" or 5'7".
Yeah, and I'm 5'9".
Yeah, so even for a woman, you're pretty tall.
So yeah, so I mean, it's so we come from tall people, and but you know we have our own. We all it's interesting because we always think that we're just one thing and we're not.
I love that we went from Nursery Rhymes into Ancestry.com and knowing your heritage and your background, and which is fine. I mean, that's the name of the game.
Where you have that I don't is you have England, Northwestern Europe, Scotland, Wales. I have none of that in me, and I think that's indicative of your father's side, because your father is not alive now. But I bet you, because for
I wish you could pull up the map.
I can pull up the map.
Or can you pull up the map for me or only for you?
I think it's only for.
I posted my map of like all the countries that I share ties to, but that's in my Facebook. I have to like find that at a later time. But it shows you like the breakdown of, and it color codes the map of like areas that you have ties to through your genetics. I think that's pretty interesting. The reason why I want to do the 23andMe is I know it's newer, but they do have that health portion where it tells you based on your genes what you have a high proclivity to.
Yeah.
Types of diseases and stuff. And so that's where I'm really interested in. Maybe for the holidays, I'll buy that for you and we can do that together.
Look, there's my...
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. We're all over that.
You know what's so funny bringing this up? Remember how we were talking about that our map is like all over the place. It's all like it's a rainbow essentially. And we have a couple of friends back in Maine who took it. And theirs is like two colors. France and like England.
That's it. And they're like, well, aren't we vanilla? But it's interesting because it just how your story, you started off here.
Plus, there's some accountability there because you have these people who will say, I have like 40% Sacagawea in me. And it's like, do you really know that? Or is that what you've been told your whole life? And there's a distinction.
And you know,
Sacagawea,
who led Lewis and Clark down the river. But no, because I think, you know, one thing where you get that I don't have any, that comes from your dad, and your father's family is extremely fair skinned, you know, with, you know, I think only one member of the family that was kind of dark, and they always told her that she was from the milkman. But everybody else was like extra. I'm talking super fair skin. You could see their veins. I mean, that's how white they are.
Surprisingly, a lot of people, and this was surprising to me, a lot of people in Mexico even are light-skinned.
Well, the further you go into Mexico, they are. They are light, because there's a lot of Portuguese in there.
People think that, oh, you're tan skin, you know, you're from the South, you must be Mexican. No, there are a lot of Mexican people who have light skin that you would think are Caucasian.
Green eyes or blue eyes. Look at my husband. He's Hispanic and he's got blue eyes.
Yeah.
People, what?
So
he's Hispanic?
It's very interesting, this whole world of like where you come from, what your genetics say, different types of skin types, you know, your eye color. So yeah, I definitely recommend people out there do an Ancestry or 23andMe.
Get it during Black Friday. That's when I got mine.
Or during the holidays for sure.
Because that's when it's the sale. I mean, normally this thing that I bought, and I bought it as a Christmas gift to my son too. I mean, normally it's over $100,
like $200, $300, but
it was like
$99.
It was like $99 on Black Friday, and I was like, whoa, I'm getting it. So I got a few of them. I'm like, yeah.
So you know what? I think I'm gonna do that during the holidays for Thanksgiving or maybe even Christmas. If they have a sale, I'll have us do the 23andMe for both of us. Okay, and then
you're gonna die. You're gonna get.
Well, no, because also I have that Lynch's syndrome that my father had.
Lynch's syndrome, yes.
And I want to see if I have a high proclivity, if they even mention something like that. So
that's right, because now you know for a fact that you have that gene.
Well, I don't know for a fact. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they told him because he was going to the cancer treatment center. So they said it was Lynch's syndrome. So it was confirmed through him that he had Lynch's syndrome. So if they mention anything about Lynch's syndrome, but one thing about this 23andMe that's interesting is like when Mark Weens took it, they told him that based on the result that you tend to like more savory snacks than sweets, and he goes and I've watched many Mark Weens episodes where I know that he's not a big dessert person. If he's gonna have dessert, he'll have some fruit. But he likes more spicy, savory, and it said dishes. That he liked spicy and savory.
So it's like confirming what he has always known about his life, and it's like, oh wow, like this could be a genetic thing. That's interesting. So that's why I want to take that one.
So anyway, folks, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. I mean, it was a little bit all over the place, but when is it not?
Well, you know what? Something to take away. Make your own little nursery rhymes for your family. Make it a family tradition.
Create a song about your Aunt Mary.
And if she's bloody. It was just during the month. It was just that time of month. That's why Maria was bloody.
She was, yeah, the Aunt Flo was visiting that time. Anyway, but folks, thank you so much for stopping by. As always, you can always leave us a comment or send us a message at mishmashsoup214@gmail.com. Also, go to Anchor FM and you can click the little support button if you want to support our podcast. You can just click right there. Anything from $0.25 to $1 to whatever you want, but it's always appreciated. And you know what? And it's not required. If you want to support us in other ways by sharing this episode or sharing our podcast,
sending an email.
Hey, y'all gotta listen to these people. They're all nuts. That's also appreciated too. Thank you. Because you know what? We're all crazy. That's just the way it is. So anyway, thank you folks for stopping by. Thank you, Classy Queer. Mm-hmm. You can follow him on Instagram at
theclassyqueer and TikTok, theclassyqueer.
Yes, he does a lot of TikTok out there. And then you can see little Bear.
Yes, Bear. And give him a little loving too.
Yeah, so as always, bye.